What's up, YouTube? Mr. Legacy here, and today I'm going to be giving my overall Diablo 2 Resurrected beta thoughts. This is going to be covering the closed beta and the open beta, and just kind of my experience throughout the entirety of both of those betas. So, the first thing that I would like to say is, I thought overall it was a very solid, fun, good experience. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was cool that they gave Twitch drops to anybody who just watched any Diablo 2 Resurrected channel. They could join in on the early access closed beta just by watching the Twitch for a little bit. I thought that was cool. Obviously, it's great for streamers like us, and I appreciate that support from Blizzard. But it's also very fun and cool because it gives people that didn't pre-order the game still the opportunity to get in on that closed beta. So that was very interesting to me. Additionally, I played about 70 hours of Act 1 and Act 2 normal, because that's all that the beta was. It was Act 1, Act 2 normal, and 5 characters, no Necromancer and no Assassin. And I was able to clock about 70 hours, and when it ended, I was sad because I still wanted to play more. And I think part of that shows how great the beta was, and part of that shows how fun Diablo 2 overall is. And that's something that we could make a whole other video on. The fact that just Act 1 and 2 normal still had so much depth to it. We were doing crazy things by the end, like hunting down one specific unique monster pack's minions to try and find swords and shields that we could turn into spirits and insights and all sorts of things. And it was crazy. And we're like having gambling sessions. And I mean, we just had an absolute blast. And I really think that shows just the strength of the game overall and why it's like such a good ARPG. You don't even need that constant end game content that all these games have. Like, you can cut this game down to 10% of what it is and it's still a fun game. But like I said, that's a whole other video if we really want to go into that. Regardless, the other piece of it is the beta was playable enough to be really fun. I thought that overall the load times were really good in it, right? I think they can even chop them down a tiny bit more, and they might still, but load times were good enough, at least on PC. Maybe for people on console or something else, they might have been a little bit worse. But I know that they're still working to improve those. So if that's not even the best load times right now, I'm totally happy with that. Additionally, I thought that the closed beta had more crashes and stuff. They patched in between, and by the time the open beta came out, crashes were way down. I probably crashed 30 to 40 times in the closed beta, and then in the open beta, probably about 8, I would say, something around there. And it seemed like kind of a couple of the same issues that kept crashing me. So overall, big improvements. And once again, I mean, I obviously hope that they get the crashes down to like nothing and stuff, of course. But that showed like they were able to identify some problems and get them taken care of and get those issues resolved. But the game overall, so fun. The quality of life features that they added, auto gold pickup, and I mean, just, having multiple stash tabs, like those small things really improved the experience. Because now every time I wanted to shift my charms over from my Amazon to my Paladin for PvP, because I wanted to PvP on this character and like I had my good life set of charms, I didn't have to mule all of them or get another person. I could just put them in my shared stash, get onto another character, and then take them out. It was like the greatest, smallest, easiest thing ever. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to improve so much of Diablo 2 Resurrected. But there were also some really other cool things, like they added in, they broke out the sound. So now you're not just adjusting music and game sound. You have sound for monsters, sound for items, sound for NPCs, sound for all of those, and you can set levels on each of them. And I thought that was really creative. And one of the like small things that I didn't think would be important, but once I was getting into it, I was like, oh, I kind of want the monsters a little bit quieter, and I kind of want this a little bit louder. And it was super nice. So another one of those things that I just thought was kind of a small quality of life thing they added, but really is going to give a lot. There's also things like quantity on items. So for instance, are on skills. So if you have arrows and you're using exploding arrow in Diablo 2, you don't know how many arrows you have unless you hover over the arrows, right? Or you change it to the normal one. But or not even there, right? You just don't know. But now it shows the number of arrows over the skill of exploding arrow. So it's great. You can see the quantities on top of all of the skills. So they really found a lot of these small things, and I could go through all the tiny ones. But I mean, really, it's just, I thought that was really, really solid. And I really appreciated kind of the details they added, because it showed to me that these are people that played the game and enjoy the game and, see the same issues and have the same ideas that I sort of have. Additionally, another pro, I thought the cinematics looked really well done. It's almost like when you first watch it, you're like, wow, they didn't really change anything. And then you go look, you bring up the old cinematic again, and you're like, oh my God, never mind. These graphics are terrible. So like side by side, which is the best way to watch it, I think, you really get to see some of the extra detail and beauty that they brought to them. And I really appreciate it, because I always love Blizzard cinematics. I think that's one of my favorite things about Blizzard overall. Even games like Diablo 3 that I didn't particularly enjoy, some of those cinematics are amazing. And so here I thought they did a really good job kind of updating those. And that's another one of those things that's something that they didn't really have to do to remaster the game. That's not going to be a big profit bringer, but I'm really happy they did, because I think it's another added bonus that's really nice. So overall, 8.3 out of 10 is probably where I'm at. And that's from the pros there. Now, why is it only 8.3? What's the some of the negatives and some of the cons? And some of these didn't affect me, so my rating's going to be a little higher than I imagine for other people. The cons there were so many small bugs. Like I said, the game played. And they could release it today, and it would be, more built out than 90% of the games that currently exist and are just forever in early access and beta and whatever, right? It played decently well, but there were so many tiny bugs. For instance, double swing was a little bit broken, so you didn't swing at the right speed. And I think there was just some IAS bugs going on. I think Fury Druid also had some issues and stuff as well. Rubber banding was very strange. It wasn't bad, with the exception of when you did rubber band, it always was when you were being rubber banded back into the middle of monsters. So it was the worst times to rubber band was always when you would get rubber banded. The chat was just a mess. It was terrible in the closed, a little better in the open, but still just a giant mess overall. It's kind of in a small spot. It's hidden. It doesn't always show everything. It double spoke. Sometimes it just didn't speak, or there was nothing. The chat was just always broken. The hostile sound was so quiet, it was impossible to tell basically when you got hostiled. So you'd be sitting there just farming away, and then somebody would come in and start attacking you, or you'd be dead, and you'd be like, wait, what? And then you look up and it was like, oh, somebody hostiled me. I never saw that. So that, and it's so small with those things. When you telekinesis your stash, you couldn't interact with your personal stash, but you could interact with your shared stash. When you were moving items between your stash and your inventory, sometimes they'd get caught on your cursor, and so it would kind of bug out. The list runs on for a while. And none of them are the worst thing ever. None of them completely break the game down. But all of them combined were annoying. And every time you'd run into it, it'd be like, ugh. Even something like when you're in the lobby, which the lobby has a lot of quality of life issues and just usability issues. Passwords can't be one character now. You can't tab from game to password. It doesn't preserve the game you click on. So if it refreshes the list, then that game is just not on your list anymore. All sorts of things like that. And like I say, it's is not being able to tab between game and password game breaking? No. Is it annoying every time? Yeah. I'm sure everybody's like, yeah, it's game breaking. So, just like all of those little pieces just need to be fixed, and there's a lot to be fixed because we're a month away and there's still many of those. So I imagine when we release, there's still going to be some of those things, or some new issues are going to arise when they fix something else, right? Break one bug, pass it around, and now you got 10 or whatever. So we'll see how all of that goes. That does give me a little concern, right? And that was the same after the closed beta. And so I have that same thought still after the open beta, that there's still a lot of stuff to be fixed up. They did fix some of the things, but there's still just a lot of the small ones. Some bigger issues for PC, no TCP/IP. I know last time I kind of blew this off, and that's because I assumed that they were going to have some other way for mods to connect in and like have a multiplayer of some sort. But now I'm not as sure about that. I don't know exactly. They haven't come out and like stated that, and that worries me. So I definitely have worry that like it's, I know that they have some mod support that they have somewhere, but I don't know if it's going to be secured down for Private Realm. And after talking with Senpai and seeing Brother Laz and all of them talking about it, it was like, I don't know if it doesn't seem like there's been a connection there. So now I don't know. And that's definitely worrisome. Are mods just going to be left on classic Diablo, basically, right? D2 LOD, and not over here? Potentially. And that's definitely going to hurt for some of the fan base. I mean, that'll make me bounce back and forth some because I'll want to play some of D2R, but then I'll also want to play some mods because a lot of the mods are great. So I think that becomes a bigger issue for me when I start to think more about it in that capacity. Another couple of really big issues are no console lobbies and no console chat. And this was announced by Blizzard. I thought, no way, for sure. But there are no console lobbies. So when you're on console, I think you're going to just like choose a category of a style of game that you would like to join. And then it'll just put you in. And this is at launch, right? So they might add it in the future. But at launch, they're not going to have that. And then there's no console chat as well. I don't think you can plug keyboard and mouse or anything. So it takes away a couple of the pieces of Diablo 2 that I really think are a large part of the experience. And it definitely makes me worry a little bit, I would say. So I am less excited to play this on console. I wasn't really excited to play it on console. But if I was a console player, it would definitely make me less excited to play. I really would want to just see how it looks once you get into it, right? How well do they set up this looking for game, looking for group, quest, style? Do I choose, okay, I want a PvP game, I want a trade game, I want a whatever, right? How well does that actually play? I don't know. And that would be the biggest question for me, for sure. So I would definitely need to like see it first. Yeah. So overall, I think console is going to have it a little bit worse here. I'm not saying it's going to be terrible. I think the game overall, actually on controller, played surprisingly well. Because I did play it on controller on my PC. Because you can switch back and forth. The switch was very seamless. And I thought it was actually a decent play. Like, I was able to move around and honestly play pretty quickly on the controller. So I was very impressed with that. And I'll probably play on my controller when I'm running like for 99 and just chilling doing bail runs eventually at the end. And I'm tired and just want to like sit back and, don't really want to move whatsoever. So I was very surprised, or pleasantly surprised by controller support and how well that was. But like I say, console piece I still think is the worrisome part of how does it play in game, all of that. Now, if you want to play single player, well, then I don't think any of that matters near as much, and it'll be great on console. Yeah. So overall, I would say I'm still very positive on it. The mods is probably my biggest concern, and then just the small bugs. But like I said, I played 70 plus hours of Act 1 and 2 normal and had a great time and wanted to do more. And I think there could just be, there's so much more potential to it. I really hope that they'll be able to handle bots and duping and kind of at least keep that stuff down, be proactive in going after the people that are doing that. And if they can, I think it's still going to be a really solid launch. I think the game will be a ton of fun. And as always, worst case, we have Diablo 2 already. D2LOD is not going away. We still have that. We still have all our mods. We still have our pluggy and all our versions we've downloaded and whatever. So worst case, everything is still great. So that's why I'm able to stay really positive, because I know that overall I'll still have fun and whatnot. But I'm excited. I can't wait for D2R. I guess the last thing to touch on is it does worry me slightly that the game, we only saw Act 1 and 2 normal in 5 classes. Act 3, Act 4, Act 5, Assassin, Necromancer, different difficulties. Are there issues and bugs that are going to arise from that? I think that's important to touch on. And that worries me some because there's a lot of stuff that we still have to test. But we're going to be kind of testing that because there's not going to be a ladder at the launch of the game. So I imagine that's going to be next beta, right? Third beta is going to be at that launch, and we're going to have a week or two where we're going through and they're fixing all that and we're testing all of that stuff. And then when the ladder does come, whether it's 3 weeks, a month, whatever it is, then we can grind for that 99 and go crazy and all of that stuff. So overall, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. I hope you guys enjoyed the beta if you got to play, or enjoyed watching it if you got to watch. If not, I definitely recommend going and checking some of it out because there's a lot of cool stuff to see. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and thanks for watching. Peace, YouTube.